Hey, welcome to my channel. It's been quite a while since I posted. I apologize for that. I'm just letting things play out, quite honestly, on the aspect of everything that's going on with the country right now, the U.S. In general. Um, I'm not going to be commenting or doing any commentary about it, quite honestly. I'm just going to stay away from that for a little bit. I'm going to wait things play out till the end of the month. So basically, the end of the quarter, and we'll know where to go from there at that point. Or maybe wait till the first 100 days and see what happens at that point, and then make a comment. But today, let's talk about the fact is like it's now time for. Well, there's two factors. One, it's almost baseball season. Spring training is in place. It's good to see things coming into play. The Knicks, of course, with basketball, they're like third, but honestly, I still think they're pretenders more than contenders, more than anything else. I don't know. And I apologize because there are going to be messages left and right that are going to be popping up and you're going to hear them. But anyways, um, but the more important, well, not the more important thing, the other aspect as well too is football season, or not football season, but the NFL free agency is kicked off, and you're seeing a flurry of things. I'll talk about that in another video at that point as well too. Today, I'll talk more focus about this Saturday, basically, or this Sunday is, or this weekend essentially, is the start of the F1 season or Formula One grid at Melbourne, Australia. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. Now, a lot of changes have been made, of course, since from last year. A lot of drivers shifted around, a lot of drivers left, and new drivers came on board. Like in this case, you've got the Alpine team basically with Pierre Gasly still, remaining with Alpine. And then, the Alpine also signing Jack Doohan. It's going to be interesting to see how Jack Doohan does. The Aussie. I don't know. Let's say this: there's a lot of Aussies in this circuit now, more than anything else, or in this, set of teams. It'll be interesting to see how Doohan works out as well. Too honestly, it's Alpine. Can they get back to where they were 3 years ago, where they were on the verge of like getting beyond the mid tier to the top tier? But only time will tell. I'm waiting to see from that. And of course, you got Aston Martin, where you have Fernando Alonso. He's getting up there in age. I'm surprised. I thought he would have retired by now, but looks like he's not. I think he wants that one more year where he can eke out something or stay relevant. I don't know. We'll see. And then, of course, Papa Stroll keeping his son Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll, honestly, it'll be interesting to see how it works out. If he doesn't, if he stays still in the middle of the pack still, it's a question of like, does he deserve that seat at that point, quite honestly, because it doesn't seem like it, but only time will tell. Then, of course, you've got, Haas, basically, where, both Nico and Kevin Magnussen are gone. So they basically brought in Oliver Bierman, another, it's kind of surprising with that Bierman is, with Haas, as well as Esteban Ocon. Now, Ocon, of course, had issues with Alpine. Him and Gasly were fighting back and forth, and then they figured, like, I think Alpine chose the better of the two because Ocon is definitely immature. Let's be honest, he's definitely really immature. We saw it with Perez when he was with Racing Point at one point as well too. So the fact that Haas brought him on board, I don't know if that's the right choice, but only time will tell. I think they should have stuck with Mick Schumacher, Michael Schumacher's son, and seen how that played out. But I guess they didn't have the patience for it. It'll be interesting to see how Ocon works out in this situation. He's definitely got the talent. So the question is, does he have the maturity level? I don't think he does. And then, of course, then you've got Sauber, basically, Kick Sauber. And it's kind of interesting to see how Sauber works out with Nico Hulkenberg and Bortoleto. I mean, honestly, before being the fact that it was, you had, I thought maybe they could do something decent enough, by keeping and retaining Alfa Romeo, keeping basically now Sauber at this point, keeping. Oh man, I forgot the guy's name now. Not Magnuson, the Swede. I forgot the Swede's name now. It's anyways, I think you guys know who I'm talking about. The guy that had the mullet and the mustache. He was Mercedes. I forgot his name. It's like escaping me for some reason. But you have Nico Hulkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto, basically a Brazilian. It'll be interesting to see how he works out because we haven't seen a Brazilian in a while. I mean, honestly, can he be like another Senna? It will be interesting to see if that happens. I don't think he does have that talent like Senna had, but it will be interesting to see how that works out because Sauber doesn't have a great engine per se, but again, things have middled out, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. And of course, there's McLaren. You got Lando Norris, of course, and Lando Norris has done really well last year. So let's see if he can like build up on that momentum and go forward with that. But then you got Piastri as well too. And like as I said, Piastri last year, I think we were seeing his new, we were seeing him, not seeing him, but seeing the new coming of a new age of drivers, basically. And Piastri is one of them. And I think the fact that you're seeing Lando Norris recognizing it, I think there's going to be some jealousy aspect. And like the fact that he thinks he's the leader of the team, which kind of he is. But Piastri is going to show that he is much better than him. And we're going to see, I think, Piastri overtake Lando to the point that Lando's going to be pissed off. And the fact is like the fact that Piastri has signed long-term deal with McLaren. I think McLaren has realized his potential, and they're saying like he could be another Max, another Lewis, basically. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, this season. If he does get a couple more wins and maybe has a shot at challenging Max and Lando for the championship. And then of course Mercedes, you've got George Russell now becoming the new leader after Lewis Hamilton left. And then, of course, Kimi Antonelli, basically the youngest driver that's going to be out on the field, essentially, like a 18-year-old now, and like much younger than when Max was when he first started out in the F1 grid. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. The question is like the kid's got that immaturity. He might be very aggressive, and let's be honest, the kid's going to be causing a lot of accidents. He's going to cause a lot of he's going to crash a lot. He's going to cause a lot of accidents. It'll be interesting to see how that works out from that perspective. I don't see Mercedes being in the top 3 or even top 4 for that matter. Maybe placing 5th or 6th, quite honestly. We'll see. I think the 3 teams that we're definitely going to see that's going to challenge the top spot is Red Bull, of course, Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren. Racing Bulls, I don't know. Isaac Hadjar, I don't know too much about him. It'll be interesting to see how this works out and see how the race plays out in Melbourne, the first race, and see how he races out at that point. Tsunoda, he's got the talent. I think this is a make or break year for him. If he doesn't produce, I think we're going to see him leave. Now, do I think he deserved to take that second seat in Red Bull? I think he showed it last year. But the thing is, of course, they want someone that's going to be complementary to Verstappen, but also keep Red Bull in the making of getting that championship. And Liam Lawson, is it the right move? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see because, like, of course, it's going to be another Aussie riding in a Red Bull. Is it going to be a case where, like, he might be another, like the Honey Badger himself? Possible, but it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I would love to see how Lawson plays out in this situation. I mean, we did see some glimpses of him, and he had some really good talent. So, like, it'll be interesting to see how this works out. And then, of course, you got the Williams car, basically, which Alex Albon is still in place. I think this will be the year where Albon probably, if he does really well, look for basically him to either go to, I don't want to say Ferrari, but maybe Alpine might bring him on board at that point because if Alpine's car does really well this year, I think Williams, they're probably gonna finish dead last again because their car's not that great, but Albon might move up to Alpine to like get himself up there again, back to like either Mercedes, depending on how Antonelli does, and maybe he might be teammates with Russell. Quite honestly, it'll be interesting to see that. And then of course Carlos Sainz. I mean, I feel bad for Carlos being the odd man out. He definitely deserves that premier car. Williams is not that premier car. It would have been great if he went to Red Bull, but Red Bull wanted Lawson. I don't think Max wanted to work with Sainz. They have that, still that rift. So like, Red Bull was like, Horner was not going to get Sainz at that point. So it'll be interesting to see how Sainz does well, how well Sainz does with the Williams car, basically. It would be great if they can bring Williams back into the middle of the tier versus the bottom of the pack, but that'll be interesting to see how that works out at that point as well too. And then of course, let's not forget Ferrari. You got Charles Leclerc, but now you've got, of course, Lewis Hamilton, the GOAT, coming on to Ferrari. So it'll be interesting to see how Lewis challenges Max for the championship, and most likely Lando as well too. It all depends on the car itself. If Lewis can can grasp a car really well, and if Ferrari listens to him, and make some modifications that based on his needs, You could probably see Hamilton go overtaking Leclerc at that point as well too. And don't be surprised if Leclerc learning a little bit bits and pieces from Hamilton and taking that and using that and making himself better at that point. But I think what I'm seeing basically is this: is the top three, of course, is going to be between Ferrari, Red Bull, and of course McLaren. Don't look for Mercedes to be in the number 4 spot. They're probably going to have to fight for the number 4 spot. But the fact that they got a kid that's as their driver, they're probably going to be the 5th or 6th spot. Quite honestly, I have a feeling they're going to be challenging for the 5th spot with either Aston Martin or Alpine. Look for Alpine or I would say, yeah, Alpine and Racing Bull probably are the two that are going to be shooting for the 4th spot because like Mercedes is not getting that 4th spot. Haas is probably going to be 6th or 7th basically, and then if you got Aston Martin, it all depends. I think Alonso is going to probably decline so much. You're going to see such a decline in with Alonso that Lance becomes probably the new guy, and they're probably going to see it drop so dramatically that Alonso's probably going to have no choice but to essentially retire at that point. But I'll leave it at that. If you like this video, please leave a comment in the comment section, and I will answer that comment or question basically. If you leave a question in the comment section, you're welcome to leave a comment as well too. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, I ask you if you can hit the subscribe button, that'd be great. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.